Hey there, welcome back. We got another video going on. Today we're still reading another introduction, another preface. This is focusing on the text of Sun Tzu, and I hope that it can bring you some relaxation and maybe even some education. The text of Sun Tzu. I have found it difficult to glean much about the history of Sun Tzu's text. The quotations that occur in early authors go to show that the 13 chapters of which Sima Qian speaks were essentially the same as those now extant. We have his word for it that they were widely circulated in his day, and can only regret that he refrained from discussing them on that account. Sung Sin Yen says this in his preface. During the Qin and Han dynasties, Sun Tzu's art of war was in general use amongst military commanders, but they seem to have treated it as a work of mysterious import, and were unwilling to expound it for the benefit of posterity. Thus it came about that Wei Wu was the first to write a commentary on it. As we have seen, there is no reasonable ground to suppose that Cao Kung tampered with the text. But the text itself is often so obscure in the number of editions which appeared from the time onward, so great, especially during the Tang and Sung dynasties, that it would be surprising if numerous corruptions had not managed to creep in. Towards the middle of the Sung period, by which time all the chief commentaries on Sun Tzu were in existence, a certain Qi Tianpao published a work in 15 Chuan entitled Sun Tzu, with the collected commentaries of 10 writers. There was another text with variant readings put forward by Chu Fu of Taxing, which also had supporters among the scholars of that period. But in the Ming editions, Sun Xing Yen tells us these readings were, for some reason or other, no longer put into circulation. Thus, until the end of the 18th century, the text, in sole possession of the field, was one derived from Qi Tianpao's edition, although no actual copy of that important work was known to have survived. That therefore is the text of Sun Tzu which appears in the war section of the great imperial encyclopedia printed in 1726. The Ku Qin Chu Shu Qi Qiang, another copy at my disposal of what is practically the same text with slight variations, is that contained in the 11 philosophers of the Zhou and Qin dynasties in 1758, and the Chinese printed in Capt. Calthrop's first edition is evidently a similar version which has filtered through Japanese channels. So things remained until Sun Xing Yen from 1752 to 1818, a distinguished antiquarian and classical scholar who claimed to be an actual descendant of Sun Wu, accidentally discovered a copy of Qi Tianpao's long-lost work when on a visit to the library of Hui Yin's temple. Appended to it was the first shrao of Shen Yusuen mentioned in Chengxi, and also believed to have perished. This is what Sunzi designates as the original edition or text, a rather misleading name, for it cannot by any means claim to set before us the text of Sun Tzu in its pristine purity. Qi Tian Pao was a careless compiler, and appears to have been content to reproduce the somewhat debased version current in his day, without troubling to collate it with the earliest editions then available. Fortunately, two versions of Sun Tzu's even older than newly discovered work were still extant. One buried with the Jiangten Chuyu's great treatise on the Constitution, the other similarly enshrined in the Ping Yun Lan Encyclopedia. In both, the complete text is to be found, though split up into fragments, intermixed with other matter, and scattered piecemeal over a number of different sections. Considering that the Yulan takes us back to the year 983, at the Chongqian, about 200 years further still, to the middle of the Tang dynasty, the value of these early transcripts of Sun Tzu can hardly be overestimated. Yet the idea of utilizing them does not seem to have occurred to anyone until Sun Jianyan, acting under government instructions, undertook a thorough recension of the text. This is his own account. Because of the numerous mistakes in the text of Sun Tzu, which his editors had handed down, the government ordered that the ancient edition of Qi Tian Pao should be used, and that the text should be revised and corrected throughout. It happened that Wu Nianhu, the governor of Peiku, and Sui, a graduate of the second degree, had all devoted themselves to this study, probably surpassing me therein. Accordingly, I have had the whole work cut out on blocks as a textbook for military men. The three individuals here referred to had evidently been occupied on the text of Sun Tzu prior to Sun Xingyan's commission, but we are left in doubt as to the work they really accomplished. At any rate, the new edition, when ultimately produced, appeared in the names of Sun Xingyan and only one co-editor, Wu Jianxi. They took the original edition as their basis, and by careful comparison with older versions, as well as the extant commentaries and other sources of information, such as the first Shao, succeeded in restoring a very large number of doubtful passages, and turned out on the whole what must be accepted as the closest approximation we are ever likely to get to Sun Tzu's original work. This is what will hereafter be denominated the standard text. The copy which I have used belongs to a reissue dated in 1877. It is in 6 pen, forming part of a well-printed set of 23 early philosophical works in 83 pen. It opens with a preface by Sun Xingyan, largely quoted in this introduction, vindicating the traditional view of Sun Tzu's life and performances, and summing up in remarkably concise fashion the evidence in its favour. This is followed by Qiao Kang's preface to his edition and the biography of Sun Tzu from the Shi-Chi, both translated above. Then come firstly Cheng Yu Xuan's first Shao, with author's preface and next a short miscellany of historical and bibliographical information entitled Sun Tzu Lu, compiled by P. Aiton. As regards the body of the work, each separate sentence is followed by a note on the text, if required, and then by the various commentaries appertaining to it, arranged in chronological order. These we shall now proceed to discuss briefly, one by one, and then by the various commentaries appertaining to it, arranged in chronological order. And that's the end of this shorter preface on the text of Sun Tzu. The next will be on the commentators. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I hope that you're relaxed, that you're having a break, that you feel okay. Thank you for watching, and thank you for having a pause, and good night.